The broken chains, the smoke in the air was thick. Fire burned in small patches across the ruined battlefield. Human soldier Darren moved slowly through the broken hall of what used to be a science base. His boots stepped over wires, glass, and old blood. The silence was loud here. No one else had survived, or so he thought. His radio cracked. "Area secured," came a soft voice. He ignored it. Something was pulling him deeper into the underground levels of the base. As he reached a heavy steel door, he heard it. A sound. Soft. Broken. It was not a cry for help, but more like a whisper through tears. Darren pushed open the door slowly. The hallway beyond was cold and strange, lit by a green glow. The walls were covered in alien writing. Some letters burned like they were alive. His heart raced. This wasn't part of the human base anymore. It was something older. He reached another door, this one made of glass and metal. Behind it, in a small dark room, was a cage, and inside the cage was her, an alien girl, young, glowing skin that looked like pale light, long silver hair tangled and dirty. Her eyes were closed, lips dry and cracked. Strange markings ran down her arms. One of her legs was chained to the wall. Her body was covered in scars and thin cloth barely covering her. He took a step closer. Her eyes opened. They were violet, glowing, full of pain and fear. She tried to speak, but her voice was weak, broken. "Please," she said. "Human, show mercy." He froze. "I can give you powerful offspring," she whispered. Darren's mind spun. What was she saying? Was this some kind of trap? Or had she been trained to say this? "What did they do to you?" Darren asked, stepping closer. The girl tried to sit up, but her body shook. She had not eaten for days, maybe weeks. "They took my sisters," she said. "They locked me here. They wanted to test our blood, see what we could make with humans." His fists clenched. He had heard rumors. Humans experimenting on alien prisoners. But this was real. And she was the last one left. "What's your name?" he asked gently. She blinked. "I was called Thali." He knelt beside the cage. "I'm Darren. I'm not going to hurt you." She reached out with shaking fingers, touching the glass. "You smell clean. Not like them." Darren looked around. There were control panels nearby. He began pressing buttons. A red light flashed. "Warning. Containment breach," a voice said from the walls. He didn't care. With a hiss, the cage door opened. The chain on Thale's leg remained. Darren stepped inside and broke the lock with the butt of his rifle. The chain fell away. As soon as Thale was free, she collapsed into his arms. Her skin was warm and glowing, but she was burning with fever. "We have to go," Darren whispered. "They'll come for me," she said, her head on his chest. "I carry something they want." "Then we run fast," he said, lifting her up. Alarms started to scream through the base. Red lights flashed. Darren held Thale close and ran through the hall, dodging broken equipment and fire. She coughed, barely awake. But her hand was gripping his shoulder tightly. They reached the exit and stepped into the cold night. The stars above were bright and silent, but the peace would not last. Drones flew past in the sky. They would scan and search. The hunt had begun. Thale looked at him with tired eyes. "Why did you help me?" she asked. Darren didn't answer for a moment. Then he said, "Because no one should be locked in a cage." She closed her eyes again, a small smile on her lips, but in her mind, a vision was forming. A child, glowing, strong, standing between two worlds. And that child would be theirs. The runaway pair, the forest was dark and wet. Cold wind moved through the leaves, whispering like ghosts. Darren carried Thale in his arms, running fast through the muddy trail. His heart pounded in his chest, not just from the weight of her, but from what they had just done. He had broken a rule. No, a law. Saving a captive alien from a top-secret facility wasn't just illegal, it was deadly. Behind them, alarms still echoed in the distance. Drones would soon begin their sweep. Thalie stirred in his arms. Her silver hair clung to her face, wet with rain and sweat. She opened her eyes slowly and whispered, "They will find us. They always do." "Not if we move fast," Darren said. He was trained to survive in any condition. But this was different. He was not alone anymore. He found an old shelter built from stones and wood, half hidden by moss. It looked like it hadn't been touched in years. He pushed open the creaky door and carried Thalie inside. The room was small and smelled of old dirt, but it was safe. He laid her gently on a dry blanket. She coughed, her skin glowing faintly in the darkness. "You're burning up," he said. "I need to find water." "Don't go far," she said, grabbing his arm. "They send hunters, not just machines, but people." He nodded. "I'll be quick." When he stepped out, he set traps and motion detectors around the shelter. He moved through the trees carefully, gathering clean rainwater in an old container he found. As he filled it, he heard a distant buzz in the sky. A scout drone. He dropped flat into the mud. The drone passed slowly overhead, its red eye scanning. After 10 long seconds, it moved away. He didn't waste time. He ran back to the shelter. Inside, Thalie sat up, shivering. She had removed the top layer of her torn clothing, revealing glowing blue symbols across her back. They pulsed softly like a heartbeat. Darren knelt beside her and helped her drink. "What are those markings?" he asked. She looked at him. "My people call them the echo of life. Only royal daughters have them. We were born with a mission to bond with the right blood, to survive the end of our race." "Bond?" Darren asked, confused. Thalie touched her chest. "Your blood. It called to mine when you freed me." "That's not possible," he whispered. "Your DNA is not common. It carries something ancient. That's why they took me. They were trying to create offspring with human soldiers, but none were right. They were waiting for you." Darren pulled back, shocked. "I don't want this to be a trap," he said. "I'm not looking to—" "You already chose," she said. "You broke the chain. You touched me with kindness." Outside, a sudden explosion shook the ground. Darren jumped up and looked through the window. One of his traps had gone off. He grabbed his rifle. "Stay low." A shadow moved between the trees. Someone was here. Darren stepped outside, rain falling harder now. Lightning lit the sky, and for a brief second he saw them, a tall figure in black armor, face hidden, holding a scanner that beeped and pointed toward the shelter. Darren fired. The figure vanished behind a tree. Gunfire answered. Fast, sharp. Darren ducked and rolled. A bullet grazed his shoulder. He shot again, hitting the attacker's leg. The figure fell with a scream. Darren rushed over, grabbed the helmet, and ripped it off. Underneath was a pale man with black eyes, not fully human. "What are you?" Darren asked. The man smiled, bleeding. "One of many who want the key inside her. You think you saved her? You've just become her shield." Darren knocked him out and dragged him deep into the woods, tying him to a tree with roots and vines. He returned to Thalie. "Someone was tracking you," he said. She nodded. "They always do. I told you." Her body was weaker now. Her glow was fading. "What do you need?" Darren asked, frustrated. She looked at him sadly. "I need to rest, but more than that, I need to bond. If I don't, my life energy will vanish." He sat beside her. "What does that mean?" "Our kind doesn't survive long when we are alone. We are meant to share our power. Without that, I'll fade." Darren looked into her eyes. They were still full of light, but dimmer now. "What happens if we bond?" he asked carefully. Thalie didn't answer at first. Then, in a quiet voice, she said, "We become one. And if we are true match, I will carry a child. Not just any child. but one born with the strength of both stars and earth. A cold wind blew through the cracks of the shelter. Outside, more drones appeared. Inside, the fire flickered. Thalie reached out her hand, weak but glowing. "Will you run? Or stay?" she asked. Darren looked at her hand. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but tonight, he stayed. The secret inside her blood. The night passed slowly. The rain softened, but the danger around them grew stronger. Inside the shelter, the small fire crackled, casting soft light on Thalie's glowing skin. Her breath was shallow. Her body trembled. But she refused to sleep. Darren sat beside her, holding a small scanner he had taken from the fallen enemy. Earlier, it blinked red every few minutes. "They're still searching," he whispered. Thalie nodded weakly. "They won't stop. Not until they find what's inside me." "What is inside you?" Darren asked. "What makes them chase you like this?" She looked at him slowly. "It's not just my blood. It's what sleeps inside it." Darren didn't understand. She pulled up her sleeve and showed her forearm. Under the skin, her blue veins glowed brighter than before. The markings on her body pulsed softly like a second heartbeat. "I was born from the last queen of my people," Thalie whispered. "Our blood was pure, not just royal, but connected to something older than stars." "Connected to what?" Darren asked, leaning closer. "To the source," she said. "A core of energy buried deep under our home planet. When the humans destroyed our lands, they thought the source was just a myth. But it lived inside us, passed down." Darren's heart beat faster. "So you're saying you're a living power cell?" "Not just power," she said, her voice cracking. "Creation, destruction, future. If my blood bonds with a human who matches, it could wake the source again." He sat in silence. She turned her face away. "That's why they kept me alive. They didn't want me to escape. They wanted me to breed, to create a child that could be used like a weapon." Darren clenched his jaw. "And you think I'm the one they were waiting for?" She looked into his eyes. "I know it." Darren stood up. He needed air. He walked outside, the forest calm but tense. The trees whispered with every wind gust. He checked the sky. No drones yet. But the enemy was close. He could feel it. Then something strange happened. He looked at his hands. And for a moment they glowed faintly. Blue veins. Just like hers. He rushed back into the shelter. "Thalie," he said, "what's happening to me?" Her eyes widened. She reached for his hand. "It's starting." "What is?" "The bond." She sat up despite her weakness and placed his hand over her chest. The moment their skin touched, a soft shock passed between them. The room pulsed with light. Shadows danced on the walls, and then Darren saw it, not with his eyes but inside his mind, a ruined world. Floating islands in the sky. Blue fires falling like rain. A temple deep under the ocean, guarded by glowing creatures. And inside it, a throne. Empty. "That's my home," Thalie said softly. "That's where it began." "Why am I seeing?" "Yours because you're connected to me now," she said. "And soon others will see it too. They'll know we've bonded." Suddenly, a loud cracking noise shook the earth. Darren grabbed his weapon and ran outside. A ship had landed in the distance. Sleek. Black. Alien design. Not human. The trees around it withered from its heat. It didn't belong to any army Darren knew. It was something older, maybe even from Thalie's past. She limped out of the shelter behind him, clutching his arm. "It's the Seekers," she whispered. "My people's ancient guards. They were silent for years. But the bond has woken them. Are they friends?" Darren asked. "They don't have friends," Thalie said. "They only serve the one with the true blood, and test those who try to claim it." The ship opened. 3 tall figures stepped out. Their armor glowed with shifting colors, their faces hidden by silver masks. They held no weapons, but their presence was heavy, like gravity itself bent around them. One of them raised a hand. and pointed at Darren. A deep, rumbling voice spoke from behind the mask. "You are not of the stars, but you hold the key." Darren aimed his rifle. "I'm not looking for trouble." The figure didn't move. "Trouble is looking for you." Then, without warning, the ground around Darren cracked. Energy swirled. The Seekers raised their hands, and the space between them shimmered, turning into a portal. Inside the portal, Darren saw a place, filled with stars, burning light, and floating ruins. He felt dizzy. "What is that?" he asked. "The memory." "Kate," Thalie whispered, eyes wide. "They want to test your soul. If you survive it, they will accept you. And if I don't?" She looked down. "You'll vanish forever." He looked into her eyes. "Do you trust me?" she asked. "Yes," he said. He stepped into the portal. Everything turned white. Hunted by the Alliance, Darren opened his eyes. He was standing in a world made of light and broken sky. The ground under his feet was solid but made of glowing crystal. Above him, stars moved like they were alive. Giant shapes floated in the sky, ruins of old cities, flying upside down. Strange. Voices echoed all around him, speaking in a language he could not understand but somehow felt in his bones. This was not a place. It was a memory. Or a test. "This is the source," Thalie's voice whispered in his mind. "What lives in my blood now touches yours." Darren looked around. He was alone. No sign of the Seekers. No sign of Thalie. A figure appeared ahead, tall, black eyes, skin glowing gold. It had no mouth, but it spoke directly into Darren's mind. "You are the outsider, the chosen, the destroyer, or savior." "What am I supposed to do?" Darren asked. "Prove that you can carry the bond." Before he could ask anything else, the ground beneath him exploded. He fell, through fire, through cold, through screaming winds, and landed hard in a dark chamber. On the walls, glowing paintings showed images of war. Alien queens falling, human armies marching, children with glowing eyes burning cities with a thought. Then, the last image. A human holding the hand of an alien woman, standing in peace as the galaxy bowed. Darren reached out and touched it. The moment he did, a sharp pain stabbed his chest. He gasped and collapsed. Blue light burst from his heart. His mind shook. Visions of the future, the past, things that hadn't happened yet, and things that could. Then, everything went black. He woke up gasping in the forest. Thalie was beside him, her hands on his chest glowing. "You passed," she whispered, tears in her eyes. "They've marked you." Darren looked down. On his chest, a new mark had formed like Thalie's glowing tattoos, but different. It pulsed softly. Before he could speak, a loud explosion shook the sky. "Get up," Thalie cried. They ran out of the shelter. A fleet of silver ships was falling from the clouds. They bore the seal of the Central Alliance, a powerful force of humans and alien species working together. They didn't come to talk. They came to take. Darren cursed. How did they find us so fast? Thalie looked afraid. The Seekers woke the signal. The Alliance tracks anything related to the source. They want control. Darren grabbed his weapon. "Can we run?" "Not this time," she said. "We fight, or we vanish." The ships landed all around them, dropping troops in black armor. Plasma rifles, scanners, and drones followed. Darren fired first. He dropped 2 soldiers before, pulling Thalie behind a fallen tree. "We're pinned. Give her to us." A voice boomed through a speaker. "We promise no pain." Thalie looked into Darren's eyes. "They're lying. They'll use me and destroy you." "We're not giving up," Darren said. Suddenly, the mark on his chest burned. Thalie gasped. "The bond. It's fully awakened." The ground trembled. Roots from the trees rose like snakes, wrapping around Alliance soldiers. The air shimmered. Creatures made of light and shadow rose from the earth, surrounding Thalie like guardians. "What is this?" Darren asked. They're from the old world, protectors of the bond. They only wake when danger is close. The soldiers screamed, firing at the creatures, but the bullets passed through. Thalie stepped forward. Her body floated inches above the ground. Her voice echoed with strange power. Leave this forest, or face the wrath of the Source. The Alliance general laughed. You're just a relic, princess. We have machines. But then, the trees moved. An ancient tree, twisted and massive, pulled itself from the ground like a giant and smashed the nearest ship. Fall back. The soldiers screamed. The Alliance forces ran, chased by roots and glowing shadows. After the last ship vanished into the sky, the forest grew still again. Darren sat down, breathing hard. What was that? Thalie collapsed into his arms. My strength is fading again. It cost too much to call them. He held her tightly. You saved us. She looked at him with soft eyes. You saved me first. Suddenly the wind changed. A cold silence fell. From the far side of the forest a slow, heavy sound began. Metal feet, marching. Thalie's face turned pale. What now? Darren asked. She whispered one word. The collectors. Who are they? Not who, what, she said. Machines built by the Alliance to erase things they fear. Are they coming for you? No, she said softly. They're coming for us. The cave of future children, the ground didn't stop shaking. Darren held Thalie close as the deep, slow thumps of the collectors echoed closer. Each step felt like a hammer striking the bones of the earth. Birds had long flown away. The trees stopped swaying. Even the wind held its breath. How many are there? Darren asked. Too many, Thalie whispered. And they never stop. They were metal giants, machines built without a heart, without a mind, programmed to destroy anything marked by the Source. No one could reason with them. No one had ever stopped them. We need to go, she said. But where? They're everywhere. She closed her eyes and pointed east. There's a place hidden by time. My mother told me the stories before she died. A cave buried under the roots of a dying world. Only a true bond can open it. What's inside? Hope, she said softly. Or death. They moved fast. Darren helped Thalie walk, her legs weak but still glowing. He had only one weapon, left, low on ammo. But he would not leave her behind. For hours they moved, dodging scanner lights, hiding in rivers, crawling under thorns. Twice, drones passed overhead. Once, they saw the shadow of a collector, taller than trees, with metal, arms like spears. It didn't see them. But it smelled something. It stopped and sniffed the air. Thalie held her breath, and Darren did too. The creature let out a screech and turned away. When night came, they reached the old ground. It looked like nothing, just dirt and moss-covered stones. But Thalie knelt and placed her hand on the soil. Blue light spread in slow circles. Symbols formed in the air. The earth opened, steps led down into darkness. This is it, she said. They went inside. The cave was not made by hands. The walls were smooth like glass but shaped like flowing rivers. Blue vines glowed on the ceiling. The air felt warm, like it was alive. After walking for what felt like forever, they entered a great chamber. At the center stood a crystal pillar, tall as a tree. Inside it floated an unborn child. Darren stepped back in shock. Is that? It's not real, Thalie said. It's a vision, a memory of what could be. Our child? He asked. She nodded. Yes, if we survive, if we bond. Why show us this now? To remind us what's at stake. The crystal glowed brighter and the child inside opened glowing violet eyes. Darren stumbled back again. It looked at me. Thalie smiled weakly. Because it knows you. Suddenly the ground above shook again. Dust fell from the ceiling. They found us, Darren said. The cave lights flickered. The path behind them collapsed. Only one tunnel remained ahead. They ran. The tunnel narrowed and led them to a second chamber, older, colder. The walls were covered in handprints, glowing softly. Some were human, some alien, some neither. At the center of this room was a stone altar. On it, two symbols, one shaped like Thalé's markings and one like the glowing mark on Darren's chest. "Place your hands," she whispered. Together they stepped forward. They pressed, their palms on the altar. The cave roared. The walls lit up with visions, battles, lost worlds, falling empires, but also peace, worlds reborn, stars blooming like flowers, and children who held powers no one had seen before. And then, silence. Small round object rose from the altar. It floated between them. A glowing sphere, warm and humming. "What is it?" Darren asked. "A seed," Thalé whispered. "It holds the code of what we could become, what our child could be." Darren took it. His hand closed around it, and in that moment, every collector above the ground screamed in pain. The machines paused. They shook. They turned their heads to the cave. "They felt it," Thalé said. "You touched the core." Then the cave shook again, harder this time. Cracks formed in the walls. "We have to leave," Darren shouted. "There's no way out," she said, voice calm. He looked around. "Then what do we do?" She took his hand. "We give the seed a name." The crystal pulsed. "Names have power," Thalé said. "If we name what we hope for, maybe it will become real." Darren thought for a moment, then said, "Halen." The light inside the seed turned golden. Above the cave, the collectors screamed again, this time not in rage, but fear. They began to retreat. The sky broke open with lightning. A new force had awakened, and it was not on the Alliance's side. War for the unborn, outside the cave. The sky had changed. Thick clouds moved in strange spirals. Blue lightning cracked across the heavens like a broken mirror. Trees bent in the wrong direction. The forest no longer obeyed nature. It obeyed something older, something now awake. In the distance, Alliance ships stopped in midair. Their engines flickered. Collectors, once unshakable, screamed and fell to their knees, steam bursting from their joints. They sensed it. The seed had a name now, and that name was power. Deep in the cave, Thalé and Darren stood in silence. The small, glowing seed floated above their hands, pulsing like a heartbeat. The light inside it shifted between blue, gold, and white. It was alive, and it was listening. Thalé turned to him. Her body was shaking. "The bond is now complete." Darren felt it too. His chest burned with heat, but not pain. Something had entered his blood. Not just power, but memory, instinct, purpose. "What happens now?" he asked. "We must protect it," Thalé said. "If they capture the seed, they'll force it to become something else, something twisted. Then we run." She looked down. "No, we don't run anymore. We stand." They stepped back into the forest. Alliance warships were already surrounding the area. Dozens of black armored soldiers rappelled down with pulse rifles aimed and ready. Overhead, 3 massive sky drones hovered, their red eyes locking onto Thalé. A voice rang from the speakers. Calm, confident, cruel. "This is General Arvest of the Central Alliance. Surrender the seed, and we will allow you both to live." Thalé took a step forward. "You lie." "Perhaps," the voice replied. "But lies are cheaper than war." Darren raised his weapon. "We're not giving it up." The air thickened. From behind the trees, more figures appeared, but they weren't Alliance. They weren't collectors. They were Thalé's kind, or what was left of them. 10 alien warriors stepped into the clearing, each wearing old armor, rusted and scarred. Their eyes glowed violet. They bowed to Thalé. "Your call reached us," one said. "Princess Thalé, we serve the child." Darren looked at her, stunned. "You told me you were the last." "I believed it," she whispered. But the seed's awakening woke them too. General Arvest laughed over the speaker. Do you think a handful of relics and one human can stop us? Darren smiled. Try us. The battle began. Lasers lit. The forest like a storm of fireflies. Thunder shook the earth. Alien warriors moved like lightning, blades flashing, deflecting plasma with glowing shields. Darren shot down 3 soldiers in quick bursts, his aim sharpened by the bond now flowing through him. Thalie moved differently now. She floated above the ground, her eyes pure white. Her hands moved through the air, weaving symbols, and each motion sent waves of energy crashing into enemy lines. The seed remained behind them, floating and glowing, untouched, watching. The Alliance pushed hard. Then, the sky opened. A collector dropped from above. It was different from the others, taller, heavier, with 6 arms and a face shaped like a human skull. It landed with a quake and aimed its weapons. Target locked. The unborn, it spoke. Get it away from the seed, Darren shouted. 3 alien warriors ran toward the collector, but it cut them down with a single energy wave. Thalie screamed. Darren ran forward, firing until his weapon overheated. He threw it aside and grabbed a fallen sword. Come on! He yelled. The collector turned toward him. But before it could strike, Thalie appeared in a flash of light. She raised her hands. A wall of blue fire exploded around the collector, burning its metal skin. It roared, slamming its fists into the earth, trying to crush her. She didn't move. Instead, she said a word in her language, soft and ancient. The seed responded. A beam of pure white light shot from the seed and struck the collector's chest. It froze. Then cracked. Then shattered. The battlefield went silent. The remaining soldiers dropped their weapons. Some fled. Others fell to their knees. The Alliance ships above began to pull back. The commanders had seen enough. The power they tried to control had turned against them. They lost, and Thalie had won. But the victory came at a cost. She collapsed. Darren ran to her, catching her before she hit the ground. Stay with me, he cried. Her skin flickered dimly. Her heartbeat slowed. I gave too much, she said, smiling faintly. But it was worth it. Don't say goodbye, he whispered, holding her tighter. She touched his face. I'm not leaving, not yet. Then, the seed floated down. It hovered over her chest, glowing warmly. It pulsed once, then sank into her skin like a drop of water into soil. Her glow returned. Her breath grew stronger. Darren blinked in awe. What just happened? He asked. A soft voice echoed in both their minds. I chose my mother. The legacy. Born, the forest was silent again. The fires were gone. The skies had cleared. Even the wind returned. Gentle, soft, no longer afraid. Darren sat beside Thalie near the glowing roots of the sacred cave. Her breathing was calm now. Her skin had returned to its gentle shimmer. And in her chest, beneath her heartbeat, the seed pulsed like a second soul, safe, growing. You're really okay? He asked. She nodded. I thought I might vanish, but it saved me. Halen saved me. Darren looked up at the sky. The Alliance had pulled back. Their fleets had vanished over the horizon. No collectors, no drones, no more soldiers. Only broken machines remained, silent and dead. The surviving alien warriors, Thalie's kin, stood around the cave's entrance like a circle of guardians. One of them stepped forward and bowed to her. You carry the future now, the warrior said. We will protect you. We will protect him. Thalie looked down at her stomach. Her hand touched it gently. The glow beneath her skin answered. It's not just our child, she said. It's the first bridge between our worlds. Darren turned to her. What happens now? She didn't answer at first. Instead, she stood up slowly, walking to the center of the clearing. Her voice rang out, not loud but strong. To all who can hear me, human, alien, enemy, or friend, this is the end of bloodlines, the end of chosen races. There is no pure. There is only future. As if answering her voice, the cave behind her shifted. Its walls opened like petals. Inside, a soft golden light pulsed, and for the first time, the source revealed itself. It was not a weapon. It was not a god. It was a garden. Floating islands, green and blooming, surrounded a deep blue lake with stars in its reflection. Trees grew upside down. Wind carried voices not yet born. And at the very center, a glowing cradle waited. "This is where he'll be born," Thale whispered. Darren stepped beside her, hand in hers. "I thought I was just a soldier," he said. "But you made me part of something bigger." "You showed me mercy," she replied. "And that changed the stars." Time passed. Under the protection of the warriors and the reborn forest, they built a new home near the cave. Not a palace, not a base, just a place where life could begin again. Weeks later, the sky turned violet with energy, and Thale went into labor. The cave itself lit up as if alive. The vines grew brighter. The water turned golden. The air whispered lullabies in forgotten languages. And then in that sacred place, watched by stars, protected by old magic and new hope, Halen was born. He didn't cry. He glowed. His skin was soft and warm, with lines of blue light tracing gently under the surface. His eyes opened, and they were not just violet or human. They were every color of the sky at once. Darren held him in his arms, tears in his eyes. "He's beautiful," he whispered. Thale, tired but smiling, touched her child's hand. "He is not the end of our pain, but he is the start of our peace." But peace is never easy. Far away, the Central Alliance watched from hidden satellites. They saw the birth. They measured the energy wave that spread across the system, and they began to fear. In hidden rooms, dark leaders spoke in whispers. "We failed to take her. We failed to control the child. Do we destroy it now?" But a final voice replied, "We wait, we watch, and when he grows, we offer him a throne." Back in the garden, Halen slept quietly. Birds sang above him. His mother and father held him close. And above them, the stars whispered one word to the universe: hope.